Politics, where shortly we'll be engaging the panelists that I have tonight of Ishmael Nyaribo, an advocate of the High Court. We'll also be having Mheshimiwa Zahir, or that is a member of Parliament of Nyaribari Chache. And we also have Professor Gitile Naituli, a professor of management and leadership, as well as political risk analyst Dismas Mukua. The gentlemen are going to help us unpack this story that I'm about to read, that former Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i's declaration to contest for the presidency in 2027 has set the stage for a supremacy battle with President William Ruto, who is seeking a second term in office. And Matiang'i, a political novice compared to President Ruto, was a super minister and a fixer in former President Uhuru Kenyatta's administration, where he is remembered for getting things done, no matter what stood his way, creating enemies in the process. And of course, TV47's Apollo Kamau reports on Matiang'i, the politician, and the journey ahead. Let's take a look at that.
The euphoric return of the man who has been described as a bulldozer, the fixer, and former powerful CS in former President Uhuru Kenyatta's Jubilee administration, Fred Matiang'i, to contest for the presidency is a new lease of life to his supporters, banking on his track record to get things done and make President William Ruto a one-term president. No mean feat for the former Interior CS.
We will fix our challenges. Hizi zote tutatengeneza. So that we fix our education system properly, so that watu wawe na imani kwa elimu yetu. We fix our systems. Hata kama ni mambo ya afya, we will find solutions to our challenges together. So that huu muda kidogo tuko na shida hapa na pale, let us not turn against each other.
In his quest for the presidency, Matiang'i, who cut his teeth under late former cabinet minister Simeon Nyachae, whom he served as his personal assistant for 20 years, is positioning himself to inherit the leadership mantle from Nyachae 4 years after Nyachae's death, to lead the Gusii region, which has lacked a unifying national leader since Nyachae's death.
For a long time, the Gusii community have been bandwagoned in the Nyanza paragraph. And that's where we lose it. Because once we are negotiated under Nyanza, we get the short end of the stick. And that's what we want to get out of. Actually, Nyanza went with the old constitution. We don't have anything called Nyanza right now. It is a line always being used to compress others.
There is a feeling that Kisses have been left out, both in the UDA government. So when ODM came in the broad-based government, the Kisses hoped that because they have been supporting BAMBA, they will be considered. BAMBA never gave a ministerial post to the Gusii community. And that is the reason why Fred Matiang'i now is seen as a revolution to galvanize the Gusii bloc.
The Gusii population appears to have found now their leader in Matiang'i. And the reception we saw was simply a statement like that the people in Gusii would like to recognize Matiang'i as their supposed leader.
According to his allies, Matiang'i's rousing welcome in Gusii and Nyamira counties was a perfect start to give him the much-needed legitimacy to assert himself as a leader of the Gusii, giving him political capital in his quest for the presidency and to lead negotiations on behalf of the Gusii community.
The Gusii region is completely, fully, 100% locked under Dr. Fred Matiang'i. And that is not me saying, that is what is factual. Whether I like it or I don't like it, that is what is there. So, I mean, if anyone is interested in the Gusii community, they know where to go.
we never presented any party on Friday. What we presented was a candidate who in 2027, if he comes and tells us he will be the presidential candidate under ODM, we will follow him. If he says he will be the presidential candidate under UDA, we will follow him. What we are saying, we will follow him. If he says he'll be a presidential candidate in Jubilee, we will follow him.
Automatically, Mheshimiwa Matiang'i becomes the leader of the Gusii nation, and also he goes out to represent not only our interests, but the interests of all Kenyans. As it is now, Matiang'i is not promoted by the Gusii nation because he's a Gusii. He's being promoted or is being offered for leadership courtesy of his performance and the track record that he has had in various ministries.
Apate maoni kutoka nyumbani, atembelee wengine, nao apate maoni ya kutosha, sababu wewe simama useme watu wamekuambia kabla hujaongea nao.
The return of Matiang'i, who is expected to resign from his job at the World Bank, has excited the region, piling pressure on leaders across the political divide in ODM and UDA to join the Matiang'i camp or be swept by the Matiang'i tide come 2027.
Hapa Gusii kitambo, chama cha ODM kilikuwa kimekita mizizi. Lakini sasa hivi tunavyozungumza, wa Gusii, that is Gusii na Nyamira, umaarufu wa mheshimiwa Raila Odinga ama chama cha ODM imedidimia hapa kwa sababu hatu kukuwa na candidate. Kwa vile wa Gusii nao pia wanataka mtu wa kuingia katika ile meza kuu ya kufanya bargaining.
Kuna hii grupu ya UDA ya kina Usuru, kuna Ruto, kuna Raila. Yani hakuna mtu unaweza linganisha siasa yake na heshima yake kwa mwenye kuna heshima kwa Wakenya kama Matiang'i. So Matiang'i ikiendelea vile iko na kulingana ile hesabu tunapiga, Matiang'i yako mbele na atashinda mchana tena asubuhi peupe.
Matiang'i amefanya ministry karibu 3 na wakati alikuwa anafanya hiyo ministry ilikuwa inasimama kabisa. Hata nje zingine sikuwa sinaomba ati ni afadhali mtupatie hiyo Matiang'i akuwe kama president yetu ya nje. Kwa hivyo Matiang'i wacha akuwe president yetu ya Kenya mpaka ndio tumepaka yeye mafuta ya kutoza.
Is the country on the right track currently?
Please, relax.
One of the casualties of Matiang'i's return is former Chief Justice David Maraga, whose presidential ambitions took a backseat after divisions arose in the Gusii region over his bid, with some alleging he is President Ruto's sponsored project.
Don't forget, it is the same Gusii. We've heard that former Chief Justice Maraga wants to buy. Yeah, but for us, he's a great man. He's done his part. He's a great church elder. But as a politician, we really don't feel. The same Omogus is still our son. How come we just ignored him?
Maraga rudi nyumbani atulie. Juzi tuliongea vizuri sana kutoka sehemu za Egesa. Tukaelewana, akasema alikuwa anapita kutoa kwamba anakuja ama akuja. Kwa huyu ambaye ni Maraga, alisema yeye hataki hongo. Labda saa hii atueleza amepewa nini aje kupiga Matiang'i.
With a majority of Gen Z behind Matiang'i, the real test, according to his critics and allies, will kick in when he officially starts his Meet the People tours countrywide.
Kwa watu ambao wamesimama wote, sijaona bado mtu mwenye anaweza karibia William Ruto. Fred Matiang'i hawezi toa William Ruto. William Ruto ako na akili mingi sana. Fred Matiang'i amekuwa kwa serikali na wote walipigwa wakaanguka huko na Uhuru yao na Raila.
To support candidate ambayo tumeleta kwa chama cha Jubilee, Mheshimiwa Fred Matiang'i. Kwa hiyo Fred Matiang'i tunaona kama atakomboa hii Kenya. Kwa sababu hii Kenya mahali iko, tuko na viongozi ambao wamekuwa wanaahidi na hakuna kitu inatendeka.
Nasema Matiang'i anaweza, but ana historia mbaya ya kuwa watu wakati wa election 2017 I think. Aliua watu wengi sana Nairobi.
Matiang'i's rising influence and popularity is an acid test for ODM party leader Raila Odinga. Odinga's notable allies, Gusii Governor Simba Arati and a host of ODM MPs, have already aligned themselves with Matiang'i as witnessed during the homecoming tour, signaling new political realignments in the region, traditionally perceived as Odinga's stronghold.
Nothing like a community producing a candidate. Somebody who is running for the presidency, of Kenya. You see, you cannot be elected president of Kenya on the basis of the Gusii votes.
Raila does not have the influence he used to have. It's gone. In part because he is perceived to have betrayed the cause. It does not matter how much he tries to explain. The image is that you betrayed the cause, and therefore your influence is irrelevant.
Despite associating himself with Matiang'i and even hosting him in his office, Governor Arati appears to have changed his mind days later in Narok, telling Matiang'i to join ODM amid questions on where his loyalty lies.
Nataka tuambie Matiang'i, ile chama ataweza ingia na ashinde kura ni ODM. Mnaona hata Ruto, si mmeona yeye UDA imekufa, sasa yuko karibu na baba, anataka aone vile vile atapangwa, si ndio?
It is no longer about ODM having a stronghold in a region or a zone. It is no longer about ODM having control of certain regions. People have woken up. People have recognized leaders from the different corners of their communities. And the 2027 politics is not going to be that easy. You are going to have you need a very strong manifesto. And you need to have the trust of the people.
Did ODM contest for the presidency in the last election? It didn't. Azimio did. Azimio was headed by Raila Omolo Odinga, right? In the campaign trail, was Matiang'i part of it? Yes, he was. So what is wrong with me talking about with one person who was in the same trail? Actually, I should be having more concerns with those of us who are talking with the opponent, Kenya Kwanza. Me, I am talking with a fellow member who was in my bus.
Anybody who will go against the tide of Fred Matiang'i will have been buried in the grave of politics in Gusii land.
In case he is nominated to fly the opposition flag, Matiang'i will be locked in a supremacy battle with Odinga, whom he wants to cut to size and consolidate his grip on the region. In the 2022 IEBC presidential election results, Odinga garnered 264,988 votes, compared to President Ruto's 135,140 votes. In the neighboring Nyamira County, Odinga won with 104,477 votes, while Ruto got 63,645 votes.
The case is, when it comes to Matiang'i, they will follow Matiang'i to the last man. Right? But when it comes to the other seats, I don't know how other parties will package themselves. Because if they do on that seat, because as I've shown you, Gusii votes you as a person. They will rally behind Matiang'i. But a quack will not hang on Matiang'i's coat and expect to be elected as maybe a member of parliament, an MCA. That may not work.
ODM is no longer, it's not quite finished as a force, but it's increasingly being spent. And there are a lot of people who realize that that is the case. His desire to strengthen Ruto, Ruto's presidency and chances, makes him increasingly out of tune with perceptions, the reality. So, and that's part of the reason Matiang'i now looks good, with the person they used to look up to in Nyanza, if nowhere else, is now completely out of the picture.
With the Matiang'i presidency project overcoming the first hurdle of winning the support of the Gusii community, and getting the mandate to speak on their behalf. The battle to protect the 1 million voting blocks of Nyamira and Gusii under Matiang'i by President Ruto and Odinga's allies is likely to deal a blow at the ballot for a Ruto-Odinga ticket in 2027.
Sababu yetu kuja hapa, tungependa kuonyesha Wakenya kuwa tuko tayari kuwania uongozi wa nchi hii, na yule ambaye tumemchagua ni kijana yetu anaitwa Fred Matiang'i.
Wakisii, Wajaluo, Waluya, Wakalenjin, Wakikuyu, Wapokomo, Wamasai na kila kabila wapate kukaa chini, tupate kupata kiongozi wetu kura hapa.
Wamama tuko wapi? Tuko ndani. Tuko wapi? Tuko wapi?
According to those who have worked closely with Matiang'i, the fact that he enjoys the support of prominent political families, the Onyonka family, the Sagini family, and the Nyachai family, is a plus for him. In the Nyachai family, however, Matiang'i does not see eye to eye with Nyachai Senior's oldest son, Charles Nyachai, who feels he should have been anointed by his father to lead the Gusii instead of Matiang'i. Sources intimate Matiang'i is close to his younger brother Lee Nyachai, whose mother is a Kikuyu.
He seems to have a little bit of an advantage over Nyachai. But after all, they are good friends, they are connected. So Nyachai reincarnated in Matiang'i. And that makes it rough for Prime Minister Raila.
The Onyonka family, through Gusii Senator Richard Onyonka, has taken a central role in Matiang'i's presidential bid, according to those privy to the ongoing in the former CS's inner circle. Matiang'i, who also enjoys the support of President Uhuru Kenyatta and his brother Muhoho, has surrounded himself with political advisors and key point men, the notable ones being Gusii Senator Richard Onyonka, former Interior PS Dr. Karanja Kibicho, lawyer Ken Nyaundi, and Kitutu Church's South MP Anthony Kibagendi.
He needs to get a good team that can explain and convince the public that he is the right person, because the situation is so bad. And he has that card to play. The situation is so bad that you need a savior like me.
Since declaring his presidential bid at Gusii Stadium, Matiang'i's first public event outside Gusii homeland was at former DP Rigathi Gachagwa's home in Wamunyoro, Nyeri County, where he joined other opposition leading lights for a Thanksgiving prayer service. A Ruto-Matiang'i contest at the ballot, in case he becomes the opposition's flag bearer, will reopen supremacy battles with scores to settle. In the sunset days of President Uhuru Kenyatta's final term in office, Ruto and Matiang'i were at each other's neck. Matiang'i, a powerful chief minister under the Kenyatta administration, eclipsed Ruto, then deputy president, overruling him on issues to do with tenders that angered the former DP, with the two issuing counter threats to one another.
Na mimi sichakuuliza wewe ruhusa, unipe ruhusa mimi nisimame pamoja na Prime Minister Raila Odinga. Sichakuuliza ruhusa, unipe ruhusa nisimame na Mheshimiwa Rais. Mheshimiwa Rais is my boss. Ndiye amenipea kazi nifanye, akiamuru vile tunaenda. It is logical mimi nikiwa waziri wake wa usalama, mimi napiga laini mahali rais amepiga laini ama namna gani? Hapana. Tufanye kazi. There is a way in which a country is led. Tusisikize hii maneno. Hawa watu mambo mdomo tu kila siku huku kelele kusunguka, hakuna kazi.
With Ruto in power, enjoying full backing of state machinery and substantial resources to spend in the campaigns, Matiang'i has a mammoth task ahead in making Ruto a one-term president. President Ruto, a veteran politician, groomed by the professor of Kenya politics, late President Daniel Moi, is a formidable politician by right.
Ule mtu anajua na wanajua ile vitu alifanyia nje wakiwa na Uhuru Kenyatta. So watu watulize bodi. Mmoja kupigia ule mtu kelele, hajasema kitu, ameshuka tu, anakuja kusalamia nyanya yake, anakuja kusalamia wazazi wake, na sisi nyinyi mnapiga kelele, mnapiga kelele, mtu hajaongea, hajafungua mdomo kwanza afike.
Matiang'i has never been a politician. It is only that during the Gen Z's period in last year that this came into being, because the Gen Z's mentioned Matiang'i because of, I think, his shrewdness in terms of trying to manage the issues of security when he was the Interior Minister.
In his quest to become a formidable force, Matiang'i will be relying on local and international networks to fund his campaigns, while hoping his triumphant return can be replicated nationwide and capitalize on the anti-Ruto movement voices agitating for change in the country's leadership. Matiang'i camp is also confident to capitalize on the Gen Z support, which has shown admiration for his track record during last year's protests due to his outstanding performance as cabinet secretary during Uhuru's tenure from 2013 to 2022.
He had a reputation of being very forceful when he was Minister for Internal Security. Actually, he's the only CS when Ruto was the deputy. He's the only CS who used to tell Ruto off. And they're still in the same government.
Those who have worked closely with Matiang'i describe him as dedicated and strict on targets, and one who is like a bulldozer, demolishing pillars on the way once he sets his eyes on the ball, a key plank in his 2027 presidential campaign, and a selling agenda to win the support of his fellow opposition leaders.
He is a technocrat, he's a worker, he's a doer of things. That's one of the things that I admire. But let's give him a chance in politics. Let's see how far he can go. But I have some faith in him.
It is important that we get now a technocrat who can go sit down. And I think the last time we saw that is Mwai Kibaki. He spent most of his time in the office. I can't remember Mwai Kibaki in my constituency for his entire 10 years. That didn't stop him from being re-elected because we could see the work, right? Also, a big problem I'm having, I think we need leaders who will stop laying foundation stones and focus more on commissioning complete projects.
Matiang'i, a staunch Seventh-day Adventist, has also been criticized for being short-tempered, irrational, and moody. His inability to handle criticism and listening to rumors while he was in office created enemies in the process, amid claims of being paranoid.
He walks in, he gets an order, comes out. He walks in, he gets an order, comes out. In fact, he could even walk in today and say he wants an order so that all cabinet secretaries commit suicide. He will get the order.
According to those close to him, that appears to have changed on his return last month. He is said to be calm and collected as he prepares for the rough terrain of Kenyan politics, where ghosts of the past are likely to rear their ugly head.
Where is the teacher? Director?
He is credited for curbing cheating in national exams, during which he used to make impromptu visits. He also eliminated the proliferation of Chinese gambling machines, among other achievements. On his return from the USAID-funded State University of New York, where he served as director in charge of strengthening parliamentary democracy in the 10th Parliament and shuttling across 3 ministries, where he left a remarkable impact.
Raila Amolo Odinga.
The 2022 presidential race was a litmus test for Matiang'i, with those who worked closely with him at Harambee House saying he was assigned 2 major assignments: by former President Uhuru Kenyatta. One, to deliver the Building Bridges Initiative BBI and an Odinga victory in the 2022 presidential poll. That never materialized, as BBI was declared unconstitutional by the Supreme Court in March 2022, while President Ruto outsmarted Kenyatta and Odinga and won the election in September 2022. A lesson for Matiang'i, according to his allies, in building a campaign war chest and strategy.
Wakasema William Ruto atafika kwa debe, lakini akishinda kura ya rais hatatangazwa kwa sababu iko deep state na iko system ati wataninyang'anya kura. Mimi nataka muniangalie, nyinyi watu wa Butsoso, nyinyi mkiniona mimi ni mtu ya kunyang'anywa kura kweli?
Despite being a political novice, those who have worked with Matiang'i say his tenure at the Interior Ministry in the run-up to the 2022 presidential poll saw him meet diplomats, religious leaders, non-governmental organizations and security agencies, where his role was mainly to assure stakeholders elections will be credible and peaceful while maintaining harmonious relationships, an added advantage for his lobbying efforts to lead the opposition and face Ruto.
The question before 2022 was about the hustlers, about promises. It was about the promises. William Ruto's and team brought out the promise and hope. Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta looked for status quo. The promises won the day. 2027 is about results. Fred Matiang'i comes in as somebody who has delivered deliverables vis-a-vis the promises.
We need some freshness on that ballot paper. There are names that have appeared there since I was a young man, right? Before I could vote, there are some of the names that used to be appearing on that ballot paper. We are tired of seeing them. But that does not mean they cannot add value to the team. They are valuable. They have experience. That is what we want them to bring on board. But can we give the ballot paper some freshness? That is what the young generation is saying.
Matiang'i, who has met his fellow opposition leaders twice, once during a private meeting in Karen, and the second one in Gashagua's Wamonyoro home, faces a Herculean task of convincing Kalonzo Musyoka to support his bid. Kalonzo is seen as Matiang'i's main opponent in the opposition lineup of presidential contenders. That also includes Martha Karua, George Natembeya, and Okiya Omtatah. The ruling by the court on Friday favoring Gachagua might complicate matters for Matiang'i if the son of the mountain is given a green light to vie.
The other opposition leaders have given promises. They have not delivered. The last time they had office, Kalonzo had office as a vice president. He cannot, the Gen Zs don't even remember when Kibaki was the president and Kalonzo was the vice president. Gachagua cannot show. He can only show promises. So it is only Fred Matiang'i who is coming that the Gen Z are asking for accountability. The Gen Z are looking for a government they can trust.
Matiang'i's tenure at the Interior Ministry is accused of extrajudicial killings that saw bodies dumped in River Yala and the Ruaraka land scandal, threatening to hurt his presidential ambitions, with his allies in the Jubilee camp alleging a plot by the state to introduce charges against Matiang'i and silence him politically.
Watasema Matiang'i yako na makosa sijui 28, 44, whatever number he is given, hiyo ni yao. Lakini hata wamweke jela, tutachagua yeye. Hello? Are you getting it? Hata wamweke wapi? Jela, tutachagua yeye. Na sisi Jubilee tutasimama na yeye. Na tunasimama na yeye kwa sababu he is a person of integrity.
If we are going to use that as political, then definitely that defeats itself. I'm one person who will say, Uhuru Kenyatta had ICC on his back. He served 10 years. Dr. William Ruto had ICC on his back. He's serving as president, and we respect him as our president.
Definitely, extrajudicial killings are going to come quite in very many ways. At that time when you go to political campaigns, and his opponents are going to bring this quite in very many ways. And that will definitely have some impact on his political campaign. Nevertheless, it would not be right to just say it's going to dent him completely. He too has, of course, is going to prepare for that.
As Matiang'i consolidates his presidential bid, political observers are keenly watching his political party of choice, with President Uhuru Kenyatta's Jubilee Party and the United Progressive Party UPA, led by Nyamira Governor Amos Nyaribo, claiming his candidature. Apul Kamal, TV 47.